Myths and Legends by T.W. Rolleston. Chapter 6, Tales of the Ossianic Cycle. Conan mac Morna. Ossian and Okay. There was another Conan, namely Mac Morna, who was big and bald, and unwieldy in many exercises. But whose tongue was bitter and scurrilous. No high or brave thing was done that Conan the Bald did not mock and belittle. It was said that when he was stripped, he showed down his back and buttocks a black sheep's fleece instead of a man's skin. And this is the way it came about. One day, when Conan and certain others came about, Conan and certain others of the Fianna were hunting in the forest, they came to a stately dune, white-walled, with colored thatching on the roof, and they entered it to seek hospitality. But when they were within, they found no man, but a great empty hall with pillars of cedar wood and silken hangings about it, like the halls of a wealthy lord. In the midst there was a table set forth, with a sumptuous feast of boar's flesh and venison, and a great vat of yew wood, full of red wine, and cups of gold and silver. So they set themselves gaily to eat and drink, for they were hungry from the chase, and talk and laughter were loud around the board. But one of them ere long started to his feet with a cry of fear and wonder, and they all looked round and saw before their eyes the tapestried walls changing to rough wooden beams, and the ceiling the foul, sooty thatch like that of a herdsman's hut. So like a pagan. So they were being entrapped by some enchantment of the fairy folk, and all sprung to their feet and made for the doorway that was no longer high and stately, but was shrinking to the size of a fox. Earth, all but Conan the Bald, who was gluttonously devouring the good things on the table, and heeded nothing else. Then they shouted to him, and as the last of them went out, he strove to rise and follow, but found himself limed to the chair, so that he could not stir. So two of the Fianna, seeing his plight, rushed back and seized his arms and tugged with all their might, and as they dragged him away, they left the most part of his raiment and his skin sticking to the chair. Then, not knowing what else to do with him, in a sore plight, they clapped upon his back the nearest thing they could find, which was the skin of a black sheep that they took from a peasant's flock hard by, and it grew there, and Conan wore it till his death. Though Conan was a coward, and rarely adventured himself in battle with the Fianna, it is told that once a good man fell by his hand, This was on the day of the great battle with the pirate horde on the hill of slaughter in Kerry. For Liagan, one of the invaders, stood out before the host and challenged the bravest of the Fians to single combat, and the Fians in mockery thrust Conan forth to the fight. When he appeared, Liagan laughed, for he had more strength than wit. He said, "Silly is thy visit, thou bald old man." And as Conan still approached, Liagan lifted his hand fiercely. And Conan said, "Truly, thou art in more peril from the man behind than from the man in front." Liagan looked around, and in that instant Conan swept off his head, and then threw his sword and ran for shelter to the ranks of the laughing Fians. But Finn was very wroth, because he had won the victory by a trick. And you can hear my stomach rolling. It's been rumbling the whole time for some reason. Okay, there's the hill. The hill of slaughter and Kerry. Okay. Knocknar